mong abade bobo. Yalonde mong abade bobo. Yalonde mong abade bobo. Ekuna ngaya lungo. Ewa hana ewa. 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 Ununa miwe lomo mie. Ekuna ngwe ngalonde mimo. Yalonde mong abade bobo. Anadu bona oga egina. Anadu bona oga egina. Ewa ana ewa. Londe manu namuye. Londe manu namuye. Londe manu ne wela boga egina ye. Ne wela boga egina ye. Tono egana. Longe ganyanga. Ana egana lomo garenye. Dua longo bo anama. Dua longo bo. Ana ele ngabe mwe. Ana ele ngabe mwe. Ya kuna longo miwa. Ena we ngalonde mima. Ya londe ma ngabade ibobo. Ya londe ma ngabade ibobo. Ana elo. Ana elo. Ana elo ngabe mwe. Ewala ana ewa. Ewala ana ewa. Londe manu namuye. Londe manu namuye. Ana elo elawa o yena we lomo miwa. Kunu namuwe londe mimoe. Ya dempanga bade ibobo. Ana kwetumo. Ana kwetumo. Ana kwetumo. Ana kwetumo. Ana kwetumo. Ana adopanywe. Ana adopanywe. Ana go adopanyo. Malongo na wasamyo. Malongo na wasamyo. Sambela juwa ba walongo. Sambela juwa ba walongo. Engano kwale kamongo kabalo ne kubo. Ewa ana ewa londe manu namuye. Ana ewa londe manu namuye. Londe manu namuye. Nwa danga onga nwa taona duale ngabe mwe duale kuna moke nune rubo dabalie dilinyangela tieka ngabe bo age londe mo daba mwe diali ba mwalo kayele li bateo kayele li ba wolongo dale nyarela digo mwebu nyangwe da mongo pre nyanga duba digo monukwe kedale ya malongo wo bobaleye bobaleye peraga yetebo bobaleye peraga yetebo ya moyo ke ya mo pagbalo mema malone bobaleye yanga ya mo pagbe vale yanga ya mo pagbe vale yanga nwedanga delu molebo dadenga badunga ma yango dia dedia ke ya balongo we ya no wo vale yanga ya no wo vale yanga peraga yetebo ewa ana ewa londe manu namuye londe manu ewa ana ewa londe manu namuye Analine kwelaga lo nebo analine kwelaga lo nebo anaelo malono na asamyo monge ba e kasamyo monge ba o kasamyo
Okay, let's stop this song here. Taking you to Greater Liberia, that is in Bon County. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Today is Sunday. A lot is unfolding, so we're going to be having a conversation here this evening. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe, making news and all of what is happening right before our very feet in the political dispensations in Liberia. We say good evening and welcome. I am your host, Alfonso Zian. So we want to welcome all of our listeners, viewers across the globe. On behalf of the panelists, the analysts, and all our viewers, we say good evening and welcome to the Sunday editions of Liberia Public Radio. I am your host, your Angat. Hopefully the analyst is going to be joining me here, but I'm going to be having someone here this evening, and we tend to have a different conversation. Just forgive me, ignore this voice. This is why I've not been on for the last couple of days, and I intend not to define me, but I intend to define it. We say welcome, just hit the share button, and share to many people as you can. Mr. Tad Nimland, I see you, David Clarence Gate, of course, Seattle Thompson. These are our primetime viewers, listeners, always here to be part of our conversation. We say good evening and we say good morning, depending on your location. Welcome to today's program, this beautiful sunny evening. Hopefully, your Sunday went all well, and it's good that you are here this evening. So thank you so much for being part of today's program. We're going to get a program rolling here very shortly, doing a little bit housekeeping, and we will get started. Trust me, and we will be having an honest conversation. And don't hesitate. If you even want to join this forum, trust me, we will give you the ability to also be part of it because it's all about Liberia. But I intend to have a gentleman who has been involved in the conversation to be part of this conversation here this evening. Who is he and where his own political cap is last? You know, most of the time, people, we in this business, people, they have the right to make express their opinion, their views about us, but does that suggest is what we are doing or what is actually what it is? So all of these are, things that we want to discuss. But interestingly, there's a lot ongoing in Liberia, and we need to have this conversation. I am Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio, and we are about to have this. We say welcome on the official news outlet of the Liberia Public Radio. So let's get a ball rolling here to very shortly, and we will get going. So welcome to the show. That's the sound that introduces the program here for the most part. Thank you so much for being here. Trust me, just ignore this voice here. This call is trying to, anytime there's a transition from one water to another, we still want kind of do call, so we are here. So we got to deal with it. And there's nothing else we can do. We can't complain. We already here. If they ask us to go back, nobody wants to go. We want to go, but they say, oh, I'm already here. Okay, we say it happy Sunday, whatever you are here in the USA or whatever you are. We say happy Sunday, and it's good to have you here. You're going to be part of this conversation this evening. As what? What? I have a friend, a brother to her, who is partially. He keeps me up when I'm awake overnight, and I see him he's screaming. And I think I want to believe he's doing it for the good of the country. But where is this political interest lies? Is it for Liberia? Is it for a political institution? But what does he want to really see happening in the country? Where is frustration? What is happening? So we're going to have this sort of conversation here in a broader context. And the reason you see this beautiful color flower here, blue in communications, is all about what? To get out news. That's why you see the Facebook. The blue there represents is a specific thing. Let me bring in the host and CEO across Africa. He's doing extraordinary stuff. I asked him this evening to come here. Let us have a conversation because it's all about the country. So we need to open it up to have this conversation. Some call him Lofa, some call him Lofa Julius, some call him Julius Lofa, whatever it is, some call him across Africa. Let me bring him here. And hopefully maybe some of the panelists going to join us here. Okay, here we go. Lofa Julius. Is that the right way to call it, or Julius Lofa? Which way you want me to go?
Very often, my people would rather prefer, the pronunciation is Rofa, Rofa Julius, and
Lofa,
Rofa,
Lofa Julius.
Rofa Julius.
All right. Well, then we'll go. That's the demand of the people. Okay. Look, Lofa, thank you for being here this evening. I think this is all good for the country. All of us in this business, whether we agree with people talking points and what they say, what they put out there, we are not the one actually to be judgmental. Ultimately, it is the decisions of the viewers, the listeners, to process and take decisions. We all have different forms of getting it out there. What we want to question people is to be smart and listen to what people are saying and make wise of it.
Right.
I've been off for a couple of days now. You see, my sounding very horrible. It's not going away, but I'm determined not to hold me down because too much is ongoing. Good evening. Happy Sunday. How you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Mr. So. And once again, let me start off by saying thank you to you and the entire network of Liberia Public Radio for the fact that you have given me the opportunity to come and sit in with you to discuss Mama Liberia. I am very grateful and honored to be a part of today's conversation. And I hope that, today's conversation can just impact the decision making of our country Liberia. But I'm very grateful. Today's a wonderful day, nice weather on my side of the world. I don't know about you, but it is
Oh,
great for me. I sense that you, like you stated, right, you had a cold, but I pray that you actually beat it in due time, because we need your voice as much as possible, because we are at a very crucial part of history making in Liberia. We need the voices like yours and others to be a part of the process. Thank you.
okay. That's as a matter of fact. Let me just make a note here, and I know you're gonna get pissed. It is the liberal that got this call because he doesn't want my voice to be heard. So everything that ugly on this network here is the liberal.
It's the liberals' fault.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Thank you. History is about maybe what
Right.
sort of history are you talking about?
Well, when we speak of history making, we compare
Do you,
ourselves.
do you, do you have something playing there? Getting like a
You getting a lot of feedback? Okay,
yeah,
hold on one
just
second.
make
Let me see if I
adjustment.
can lower. Yeah.
Just a little bit, just so
All right.
our
Is it still the same?
much better. Hopefully we can work on that. Yeah.
Okay. If you need me to lower it a little bit more, I don't mind. I can lower it.
Yeah, probably I think that would be the good idea so that because these things are very sensitive.
Right, right. So let me go ahead and do that for you.
Okay, let me get you off the screen and then we can do that. Okay, so there you have it. And that's what it's all about. Blue is the color blue is internet. It's communication. Ja Adi joined from Zizont, we District Grand Bassa County. Wow, my dear brother, thank you so much. Grand Bassa County. This is how serious Liberians inside Liberia, outside of Liberia, are engaged and they are eager to know what is happening in their country. This young man or person, data thing, this internet is not like us here. Your devices here sometimes it's embedded with the internet with the package. You don't have to buy $1, $2, put it in the car. And this is why for us here at LPR, when we come on this network, I think it is important that we do a good service to our viewers, to our listeners, to our followers, because there's something they are trying to seek. There is something. Sensita, Mr. Nelson, good evening, good morning, welcome. There's something, but sometimes it's so frustrating that when you see people come, all they do, their 2 hours, is either insult or unable to articulate their candidate agenda. That simply suggests to me they do not know the visions of their candidate. I believe our Lofa is here. Let me just bring him back. I want to be having this conversation here. Okay, let's see here what there's an improvement in the quality that Lofa, are you there?
Yes, I am. Is there any better yet?
Much better. Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I don't want people to live for here and say, oh, this is what Lofa said, when that's not what he's saying. People are good or manufacturing and slashing the real news and carry the one that they think suit their desire.
And I totally understand, and I appreciate you actually calling my attention to that, because you're absolutely correct. It's only the matter of saying one thing and other people take it their way. So thank you definitely for calling my attention to that, and I hope that we can maintain the silence from my end so that we can get the message clearly across. Thank you.
Yeah. So this conversation, you are at liberty to plead the fifth. If you choose not to answer our questions, we are not going to. It's not going to take away your podcast of across Africa. Trust me, you're not. So you choose to plead the fifth to answer a question that you don't want to. But I think we must start with ourselves, holding ourselves accountable to the authenticity should come from us as facilitator, host, so that people will also take us serious. So yeah, you were talking about history. What history are you talking about?
Well, if we critically look at where we find ourselves today, Liberia, and in general, those of us Liberians, those of us who would consider ourselves as patriots, we will understand that today we are at a mark of going through another election that is historical. Okay, when it comes to democracy around the world, every election that is held is marked in the book, regardless of how you want to see it. So we are clearly there. But the intended purpose of every election for the people is to achieve their goal. Whether one political institution is doing as expected or the government in place is implementing as expected. And as we gradually work our way towards October, the reason why I believe it's historical and will be historical is the fact that we have a lot of things that are going on in the country that needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, at this time, it appears as though we are literally short-handed, and it will only depend on our decision making to take us out of where we find ourselves. As others will classify or describe the current situation of the state as a calamity that we find ourselves in. And in order for us to move forward, we must get ourselves out of it. But we cannot do it void of the independent decisions of the citizens of the country. And that is why it is historical.
Okay, what a good argument. May Koto blessings, LPRC analyst chilling in Puerto Rico. When you work, man, you gotta take us some time, because this Liberia conversation is endless ones. It's always giving you.
Auntie Koto, you went on vacation, you forgot to bring your nephew with you, but it's all right. When you come back, we'll talk about it.
No, she's still there. So yeah, you can just send in your request. If you're making an announcement, or you come in, just make sure and bring something. That's all. Okay, let me ask you this question, boy. It would be ridiculous. Do you have a pick? Have you made a political mind as to who you support, or have you declared publicly, confidentially? Do you have a political side in this 2023? If yes, if no, why?
Mr. So I have always had a political side my political side have always been the side of the people. Liberia, that is my political side. I know very often people find it a little bit disturbing when I say Liberia is my political side, because I am an advocate first. I advocate and then I discuss the political aspects of it. In case I'm being a little bit not so clear in my response, let me say this. Liberia today, the mother's land, is in dire need of good governance. If you haven't experienced that, take a look at what is happening around you. Take a look at our system. Take a look at education, healthcare, and other aspects of things. Job opportunity for young people. If I cannot stand up for Mama Liberia, and Mama Liberia is not simply the land, the geographical location, the people are as institutions are beneficiaries of that name, that label that we continuously announce. Liberia, Liberia, Liberia. So my side have always been Liberia and Liberians. That political party that have always been there for you, Mr. So. Mama Liberia never let you down. Everywhere, even in your passport today. If you were to open your passport, if you bear a Liberian passport, it clearly states Liberian. So that is my political party. Now, if I decide, let me land. I know you will push on that answer because that is not what you hope to get in response. But let me say this: if I decide to align with one of the political institutions, which we don't have in Liberia, because very often we tend to have individuals who run almost everything and not institutions, that announcement will be made. But I am yet to align myself with any political institution because I'm critically analyzing and doing the best I can to see where best I fit at, because my voice is not simply an ordinary voice. So until then, I'm still with Liberia and I align myself with Liberians.
So I watch you every night, even if I'm not fortunate to see the live one, I always go back and every other podcast because I try to figure out the tone, the directions, and what people are saying, and
Right.
see whether it is applicable to the political process in Liberia. More or less, people watch you, and I see some tweets. Well, Julius Tone sounds most like a guy who supports
Yes.
Alexander Cummings. I've never heard about Joseph Boyka. Do they have any reason to believe that?
They have every reason to believe that. That is because the ideology of an individual that is often sold to the public. If I see reason to have it highlighted when it is in dire need, it will be highlighted. That's part of my responsibility. Part of my responsibility as a talk show host, okay, as a political analyst, as an advocate, is to highlight those places that the public need to be aware of. So if the likes of Alexander Cummings continuously provide to the public information that is needed, I will highlight it. That is part of my responsibility. I will amplify the message. I see two individuals today. I don't see why the folks from the Unity Party side are not also aligning me with Tewan Gongolo, because, of course, I also speak of him a lot because this man have always been and continuously make the case about his desire to spearhead Liberia. So if anybody will want to consider me a part of any political institutions in Liberia, maybe you should split me between that of Tewan's political party and that of the ANC. Oh, by the way, in case they haven't already said this, they've already had news out there that I'm also an undercover seditious as well. So if that will help the case, then let us add that to the process too.
Okay. All right. We are the process is ongoing. You as a host, commentator, do you talk to people you have other folks working inside Liberia. What are you hearing in terms of, I strongly feel the sort of conversations we should have as host, as angle to this very network is not taking place because of lack of, because of this, so much of distraction. The policy to what these people to represent, we yet I let me not make a come to a comprehensive conclusion on your behalf. It's not happening. What are you gathering from your folks inside Liberia, folks that are providing services to across Africa?
Well, very often when I speak to my reporters back home, again, the environment, they will always reference the fact that it's not conducive. Okay, for them, they'll try their very best to get the information to the public, but they politicians, as I refer to them, and I hope I'm not being offensive when I refer to them as politician, because I think that that is exactly who they are. They are literally avoiding the media. The persons who honestly start this, it starts from the president himself, who avoids the media from start to almost where we are, almost close to finish. They are not availing themselves to discussing national issues. So it becomes difficult. Now, as we work our way towards the general election, you will sense that what is happening here is there are so many distractions. The actual issues that are supposed to be discussed are not being discussed because the avenue have not been created. Well, we're supposed to be discussing agendas of these political leaders. What are their desire? What do they intend to achieve upon their ascendancy to the presidency? We're not discussing those things. We are discussing issues that have no relevance to the decision making or aspects of Mama Liberia. So at the end of the day, you will have everybody who tend to gravitate towards the sensational conversation, the sensational discussions where they feel like that is the best place, that is their home, and that's where they often go to listen. You rarely see them coming to places like, where you are today, your platform, coming to listen to LPR-TV, where you are providing authentic information to the public. You're educating people on the reality. They're not gravitating towards that because it is all about sensationalizing the conversation, and that's where they want to go at. So, of course, it becomes a whole lot difficult for you and I. As a result of it, those of us who have ourselves in this conversation have to say, well, you know what? We will use their words to educate our people. And that's where we find ourselves today.
So the question becomes, does the media industry have a shared responsibility in this gap that is not being filled?
Yes.
Is the media being infiltrated by the politician?
A whole lot. A whole lot. And part of the reason why, especially for the young people back home, and I don't mean to sound a little bit more condescending or not appreciative of the work that is being done back home, but most of the media institutions back home are heavily either leaning one way or the other. And the way businesses are conducted in Liberia, I think we ourselves as media personnel, we have a responsibility. We owe it to the people to bring the truth and nothing but the truth. But when we start to bring in individuals who lack credibility to serve as panelists and as reporters on these platforms, then we confuse our viewers because then they don't understand exactly where we stand. And I see a lot of the institutions in Liberia needs to understand that integrity is a part of the responsibility that we have. We have to understand this aspect of the job. And I really don't sense it when it comes to the issue of mass communications in Liberia. I really don't sense it that way. And hopefully the likes of you and other people who are veterans at this will help in the process to make it a whole lot better than where we find ourselves today.
Let's not dump this whole thing here on the folks back home. Let's come right here before our own feet. We have the proliferations of news outlet here. And this is something that I really frown on. The politician has been very successful. They have invested into media and they have become a media empire, which of course is being used to channel their voices. It's not a case here. You will never see a certain senator or representative here. If there's a news outlet, of course it will be managed, but these things are there, and free speech, civil liberties, all of that factor in. You can't put stop here. But let's look at the news outlet. Are we being honest in terms of the conversation that we are having? Because people more or less, they have their political interest, and so they blindfold their eyes to reality and have to reconstruct these ill and thought-out messages of these politicians, and the electorate in return subsequently, because it favors them, they embrace it, they celebrate it, and they cheer it.
Well, and again, part of our problem, and I would let me first of all start off by saying I agree, 110%. I agree that even those of us in the diaspora, but you have to set some kind of standard here, Mr. So. There is no way on earth that Mr. Alfonso Zion So should consider himself in comparison to some of the folks out there. All right. The podcasts that are being held, because technology have provided the avenue where anybody can sit anywhere and declare themselves a reporter or a journalist. But when we are looking at people with character, all right, individuals who bring some level of substance to the discourse, we cannot be looking at just anybody who sits behind one cell phone or a tablet or laptop. So when we are talking about media institutions, we cannot classify anybody who just sits behind some cell phone, because again, you have to understand that in this modern dispensation, everyone is looking for entertainment. Everything have globally, everything has been in technology wise, everything is out there. So when people want to be entertained, they would turn in and listen to certain things that are done at certain time of the day. Are those institutions or those individuals representing or actually exhibiting the true ethics of journalism or even mass communication? Of course not. So we can accept the blame that with what is happening today, people are not even observing the basic ethics of journalism or even to serve in the position of reporters. But at the same time, I don't think the likes of you and other people should just combine everything and say, you know what, even in the diaspora, because not everybody who sits behind the microphone should be classified as a journalist or even a reporter.
Okay, we always value the comments. As long the comments are in a civil context and they are providing views, opinion, that's good. This is my guy, Prosper Terry. Mr. So is an educated and professional person who supported the CDC government. So
now we know which side you're on, Mr. So.
yeah,
Now we know which side you're on.
yeah, my guy Terry said I support the CDC government. And let me make it crystal and emphatically clear. This profession does not in any way, anybody who is the profession, you do not antagonize the government. There is something called government and media relationship. This is lacking. Anybody, the only way I will antagonize the government is if I'm a propagandist, if I'm paid to do some sort of public relations, then I'm going to reconstruct, retweet the message of the government, and it will be clear. So, but we can't sanction people of their views, of their opinions, and that's what we don't do here. As long as in a civil context, he has to write. Anybody has to write. We criticize, we critique, we slam other people. So it's proportionate. They have to do that as well. So, Terry, I value your opinion. To our analysts, Dr. Toto and the rest of the folks, the link is also out there to you guys. So anybody who has the time, just come in here. Okay, Alice Cummings, Ambassador Joseph Newman Boycott. You most often sound very critical on Ambassador Boycott. What is in that for which your voice is much louder when it comes to Ambassador Boycott?
I'm very critical of Ambassador Boycott because he is a part of Liberia's problem. without any fear or favor. Let's be honest to ourselves, Mr. So. If we intend to move Liberia forward, we must first of all start with ourselves. We must first criticize or critique what we are doing in order to move Liberia forward. If you are to review Liberian history, you will come to the realization that Onumba had been a part of almost every government, if you would think about it, including the most recent Ellen-led government. Now, when we look at the current state of the nation, in good governance and leadership, one would expect a good leader to lay out the roadmap so that others who are coming after them can build upon that. Can you, Mr. So, honestly say to Liberians today on this network that Honorable Boycott and that of Madam Ellen Shirley Johnson left behind a foundation that could be built upon when we speak of corruption, which is one of the most critical aspects of governance? When we look at the issue of corruption, can you honestly say to me that Madam Ellen Shirley Johnson and that of Honorable Boycott did a good job as far as trying to fight corruption? Madam Sirleaf herself agreed publicly, openly, admitted to the fact that they did not do a good job with corruption. So today to see that Honorable Boycott is still asking for an opportunity to serve in that role, to play that role of a president, it brings me to wondering, what is it that he is yet to achieve? Is it the title, or is it the desire to change something? At this point in our country's history, we are no longer in search of politicians. We are currently in search of leaders. We are in search of managers. Honorable Boycott was opportune to serve for 12 consecutive years. What he did not do for 12 years cannot be done in 6 years, especially after the George Weah-led government. You and I know this. The fabrics of governance is literally being ripped apart. So Honorable Boycott, who is asking for 6 years to serve, that is obviously not true. He's not being sincere to himself. Not is he being sincere to the nation Liberia. And that is why I'm very critical of him and those he continued to bring around him, Honorable Boycott and other people. Even that, let's forget about even Honorable Boycott and Mr. Cummings. When you look at their surrounding, the people they are bringing around there, an example would be Louis Brown from the Cummings end. And then when you look around Boycott, the Eugene Fagon, the Henry Costa, the Benani Uric, all of these people are prime example of why we should be very critical of the decisions we make and why we should be very critical of these individuals who are asking us to employ them. I consider myself an employer, okay? And in order for me to employ somebody to take on that responsibility, I want to see you as an asset, not a liability. I don't want to hold anybody at this point. I want somebody who will step in ready to run and actually manage the state's the affairs of the state. I don't see that coming from the side of Honorable Boycott. His decision making, and I can go in detail if if there's need to, but the reason why I'm very critical of him is those few things. And I can tell you something, very few things that a lot of time we as media personnel don't bring to the public is, I believe a lot of time we don't invest so much time into research and giving to the public the information that is needed. I was opportune to come across this document that I have been literally sharing on various podcasts and other places. It's called the Gao report. All right. The Gao report clearly states Honorable Boycott, who served the Liberia the LPMC from 1973 to the 80s. In the Gao's report, it clearly stated that they mismanaged under the watchful eyes of Honorable Boycott. They mismanaged the funds that were given to them. Okay, and I can share this document with you just in case you want to read it as well, so that we are not misleading in the information that is provided here on such a credible network. But if these informations are not being provided to the public, how is it that our people can make critical decisions? That's where some of us feel like it is upon us to fill in the gap, to alert our people to this kind of deception, where Honorable Boycott will claim glory for having to have been a manager at that institution, at that agency, and leading things accordingly. But when there are, in reality, there are reports out there that they mismanaged funds, and George Weah is doing just the same exact thing that they did, but they want to promise us good governance.
Okay, so on the basis, without me getting the in-depth of the document you are making to reference, but you were very specific to some talking points with reference to like the guy like Louis Brown from the ANC side, what's his name? From the Boyka side, now we have
Eugene
Fagons and all of these people. Okay. With this in mind, can they wage an effective campaign? How can they fine-tune their language? If they are calling for the replacement of the sitting president, how can they do that? Because, and then when you look at the history of Liberia, the reason these political parties are not surviving is they do not have a specific, there is no ideology. There's no political ideology. And this is why when people go in one party, after a certain time, it's a seasonal one. If they can't find their way through, then they go, then they leave. And when we look at the histories of Liberian politics as well, the oppositions have not been successful to hold. Liberian oppositions are the whole only went after the election, after the commentary. We saw that in the All Liberian Conference. We are literally getting to that point. Based on what you are arguing, based on what you are putting forward, how can these political parties and their leaders can argument a genuine case? Because one of the things that I've seen lacking, if I listen to some of these people that support, be it the government, the opposition, they take most of their time without then telling us or telling the public the precise visions of their political choice. They take almost in 2 hours, 1 hour, 50 minutes of their time to dwell on the opponent without then drawing real contrast and why their guy should be the alternative. It's not happening. So how can they wish an effective campaign?
And this is why those of us who are open to sit behind the microphone with the
turn this camera off here. You say it here, and let me give you the opportunity again. You for Liberian people, I'll take you off your wall. But let's turn this camera off and pretend as if we are just two, nobody looking, nobody observing, and be honest here. All right. Yes. Okay. Talk about Gonglo. You place emphasis on Gonglo. You place emphasis on Cummings.
Alexander Cummings, yeah.
Alexander Cummings. So more or less, there's a choice of preference among the two, correct?
Of course. I mean, it's an easy decision. Mr. So, I am not running away from associating with any political institution. No, I'm not. I'm only being very critical of my decision. And for that reason, I am yet to make that decision.
Why not come publicly to be a decisive?
Because my voice is not an ordinary voice at this point. When I make decision in the interest of Liberians. And when I come out to declare my support for a political institution or a candidate, I want to have every reason beyond all reasonable doubt as to why I am in support of that political candidate.
Okay, what? Yeah, you have it. I'm going to be putting the number out. And even if anybody wants to join us here, this is Sunday evening. I think we have come to the point where Liberian voices need to be heard, whether we like it or not, we disagree with it, or we demand and require on this network a civil conversation. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, and let me just say this, Mr. So, and you asked a question about the effective campaign strategy. And I want to put myself in a position where I serve as a referee, and that is why it is critical. All right, it is very critical at this juncture for me to make that decision, to publicly come out and say, hey, I support this individual. We want to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, so that tomorrow our decision will not be based on our individual interest. And that is what I am. First and foremost, I'm not a journalist. I'm an advocate first. I want you to take this. I am an advocate. I serve as a political commentator.
There are so many advocates. I'm getting to be confused, and I'm already confused with these advocates. These advocates eventually turned to be politicians, which of course they have the right. So then I began to question the authenticity of being an advocate, because our advocates have been very selective who to advocate for, who to stand up for. There are certain people, when certain things happen, you do not hear these advocates. Because either they are not part of their political association, either because they are not in their bare will, either because the student, they declassify them. They are not part of our group. So when I hear the word advocates, I get sometimes nervous to know the true meanings of advocates.
Now, Mr. So, I don't want us to misconstrue the definition of advocacy. Advocacy does not in any way, shape, or form have you or restrained to a specific position in society where you cannot ascend to governance, or you cannot serve in public positions. All right. Advocacy is based on your desire. If you as an individual, you are willingly available to serve outside of government and still advocate for people, that is great. Advocacy, even in government, those who are your representatives and senators, they are supposed to be advocating for you, the people. But you know what? Unfortunately, because they don't understand their responsibilities, they made it seem as though they are working against the people. Your president is an advocate for you. He is supposed to be advocating with your senators and representatives to make sure that constitutionally they are doing what is expected of them. So if they're not doing that, this is where I come in as an advocate referee in addition to that, to say to them, I am here to represent my people. If you refuse to do these things, I am going to hold you accountable, because my voice is as loud as anything else. I will amplify the message so that my people can hear for themselves and see why it is important that I, as a person, serve in this capacity. So with me having to make that decision now, very often the reason why people will actually now kind of jitter about our advocates, it is becoming rampant. Everybody will start as an advocate. Before you make up your mind, boom, they put their hands up to serve, to become the next representative, senator. All of a sudden, it's like everybody, that's the trend. It seems like that is the tunnel through which people get to public service. But I don't think that should be the route. Honestly, I think all of our fight should be about the transformation of Liberia. You don't have to be in government, honestly, to change the country. Let's be realistic about it. You don't have to be there. But when it is often rejected, the ideas of people's lives is being ignored, the transformation of the nation is continuously being ignored, then I think it is only important that those with the ideas and the ability to transform the nation put their hands up and say, look, if you can't do it, I will do it. After I have cautionized you on so many occasions and you ignore the plight of the people, I am going to put my hands up and ask that I serve in that capacity, because I understand the magnitude of the issue and I think I can deliver based on that. But other than that, I think that some of our advocates are, again, honestly deceptive. They have made us all to look bad, but it is upon us, the select few, to maintain some level of integrity in our work so that you and other people can believe what we stand for.
Stand up and put our hand up. According to NEC GAL timetable, 170 days to the presidential and legislative elections. Are you getting to the point where you're going to put your hand up to make a decision, whether people like it or not, knowing where you're leaning politically?
Yes. And again, I said, we are literally approaching that time where you will hear from Lofa. Lofa will publicly announce, if you provide the opportunity, probably maybe I should actually come on here on LPRC and actually make that
because probably it's good to take you on a neutral ground. So we ask you, because when you're in your own comfort zone, that will disadvantage me and others to do a further pushback. Let's take a quick commercial break and we will be right back. I'm Alfonso Zin, host of the Liberia Public Radio.
Welcome to Fiber Queen off of Woodland. Everyone that's looking for nice African for wedding, whatever fiber you need, you can just come over here. You have all this nice stuff. If you need ashebi, you guys can come over here for baby shower, for wedding. You guys are welcome. She had really nice stuff. You can see all over there, all those men over here. You don't have to go to the theater and then they're going to be telling you all kind of stories. You can just come here. They're already made. And for ladies, you can just look for whatever fiber you're looking for and match it for the men. And, your husband already have a shirt made. You can get stuff for your kids. You can get stuff for the whole family. We have African slippers and ashobi hand ties all over. We have different kinds of lists and everything. So you guys are welcome, okay? It's really nice. It's Fiber Queen on Woodland, 6695 off of Woodland. 6625 Woodland Avenue, okay? So you guys are welcome, 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 welcome. You have nice stuff here for ladies, for men, for kids, and for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia is 100% African-owned business. At Fabric Queen, we are specialized in high quality wax product, Swiss lace, jewelry, and beauty products that will make you shine like the queen of fabrics. We are located at 6625 on Woodland Avenue, 10 Philadelphia. Telephone number 215-800-0228. Tell the management of Fabrics Queens in Philadelphia is easy and salt of the Liberia Public Radio gives you this message. Tell all Akwaba.
Well, I'm Alfonso Zin, so of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV is 7:22 Eastern Standard Time right here from the East Coast of the Liberia Public Radio New England Bureau. I'm in conversations with across Africa, CEOs, all must be held accountable, including myself. Our senior analyst, Dr. George Toto, is joining us as well from Pittsburgh. Let's see it. Everybody have a say in this thing here. The clock is eating 170 days to go. Let me bring in Lofa Julius and let me bring in Dr. George Toto. Both. Gaia, Dr. Toto, good evening. Happy Sunday and welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Alfonso. I'm joining from Liberia.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
You're joining from Liberia?
I'm in Liberia. Wow. Yeah.
Tell us a story here. How the whole Liberia been come about? Change our whole story here. Is that a Bongo wagon getting off? Starting to roll out now?
Yeah, left.
Okay. Welcome to that. But thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. How is Liberia? How long?
Yeah. I left this on Friday. No, Thursday. I left this on Thursday around in Liberia Friday night. Yeah.
Well, thank God for safe arrival.
Yeah.
What was your experience from RIA to home and so far? How your few days been there? Any change in story?
At first, I hear to say that about Liberia is like, I don't know, but for me, for every time I make a trip to Liberia, I meet other challenges. Especially, I think the dream by Eddie Johnson said every time I have to visit Liberia, I don't want to say the Eddie Johnson government were much better in terms of some of the stuff we see, but I think maybe a lot of development going on, as they say, in terms of road construction, all the things that are taking place, I think that it kind of to move around Monrovia is very difficult. The only disappointment I had when we arrived, because we had a delay in Brussels, and then we arrived in Freetown a little late. I can tell you, when we arrived in Freetown, the airport was so electrified. You could see the light everywhere. And then, but we arrived to our country, Rabat International
In the
Airport.
Bahamas. What happened?
It was late that night, about 10 p.m. And the aircraft was escorted by a car light, a blinking car light for the runway to the terminal.
What are you talking about?
Yep.
Can you repeat that, please?
The aircraft, the Brussels airline, when the Brussels airline touched the Rabat International Airport, and for the plane to make our way to the terminal. I mean, the light was there, but the light is so dull, and then you could see the blinking car light, like they escorting the plane to the terminal. For me, that was so shameful.
Wow.
Wow. I came in this country. We came for like a international Lutheran conference. We brought some delegates in the country to attend the international Lutheran conference. Most of the people were their first coming to Liberia, for us to have such experience. And when you get to the terminal, the cooling system in the terminal is so bad. The place is so hot. While you have to walk and climb the step again, you climb the step to walk or go, So I'm not talking to shame blame or any government or whatsoever, but the management to the airport need to really work hard to make some things put in place correctly, because the airport is the gateway.
Yes, it's one of the, obviously.
To Nigeria. So that's our first impression. It is our first impression. So when we come there, we expect to see some good changes and things taking place. But that's my experience with the airport. But the road construction, the government doing well. The construction is going on. I gave them, even though it kind of detour the traffic direction, but they are working on the road, and we hope that as soon as possible, the project will reach maybe to 80 to 75, let's say 75 to 80%, for the roads to be in good condition. But they are doing well. But to just move around the town from point A to point B is just so difficult, in terms of a lot of detour, traffic movement, and then you have to also deal with pedestrian. You have to deal with the motorcyclists or boys, all those things. So it just all makes it so difficult to move around. But we hope that with the extension of the roads and the working on, we have to reduce the traffic congestion as soon as possible. When they reach to a stage that will be more appropriate for people. But the experience at Rawafield, I never. I mean, I gave it for those paddles. I think they are really taking extreme risks. Sometimes when they say they put on Liberia down at honest air now, they are really taking extreme risks to be flying to Liberia at that time of night. Like I'm telling somebody, the plane, if the government or the airport management know the situation at the airport, why allow plane to be landing in the airport in the night? They should have just ground all the flight to daytime. The live flight to be coming at night. The lighting system, the runway is so poor.
Okay, well, these are the challenges, and unfortunately, we are not having this conversation. It should be with those who are having interest in taking state power. Okay, thank God for your safe arrival, and I hope to see you back here soon. And maybe while you're there, we're going to still be doing this here. I didn't even know that. Good to be here. Okay, we saw of lately the switchings of political gears from one political column to another column, giving justifications of their action when they are in a system, they don't speak against corrupt system, or even their voice, their tone is much more minimal, all about political correctness. But when a central can no longer hold and things fall apart, then they become much louder and louder and want to be vehement into their argument. This is Senator Prince Yomin Johnson of Nima County, who, from all indications, his political diary or marriage with the ruling establishment, one could potentially say it has come to an end in a bizarre press conference recently. Let's listen to this. I know you guys have seen it a lot, and then we can have a conversation.
You stood in a Fortican family worship center. I don't know whether you're preaching there because he's a Muslim. However, on the pulpit. Now you say the people that were on Broad Street, they were having man woman business. You jeopardize the investigation if they want to be in it. Gifted Nama married to a Nima guy. Gifted Nama was godly, devout Christian. Our daughter-in-law, I knew her well. We knew her well. She was not Hopo Joe. If they wanted to, she left her husband home. The boy who were married left his wife home. They called them to carry the laptops and all the documents. So they went and did to them what they did. I went that day on Broad Street to see in the car. I saw saying, Broad Street gets here. So when the president stood on the pulpit and said that they were having woman and men business, I stood on I'm ordained. I said, that's a lie. That's not true. They got brothel, motel, hotel, happy corner, all there. They get you want to cheat on her faithful husband to go with her workmate. If the workmate want to cheat on her wife too. Now the car will go inside, carbon monoxide will kill in the open air. So I said, that's true.
Okay, gentlemen, here we are. That was the happening before the week came to a closure. As usual, they leaving one column to another column, to unity partisans. Somehow, political celebrations is in the making because they got one of their own alligators and they have to protect that as every other party. Now, is there any reason that Unity Party should be concerned? Is this guy to be trusted in any form or shift, knowing who he is, his history? Let me start with you, Dr. Toto. Do you think if Prince Johnson, and this is for discussion purposes, you support the candidacy of Councillor Tiawan Gonglo? If for any reason he, Senator Johnson, a pivot in the directions of Councillor Gonglo, is that something, Gonglo, you think we're going to receive? After all, politicians say every vote counts.
Actually, politicians say every vote counts, but if you look at Prince Johnson, when it comes to electorate, when it comes to politics like Liberia, I don't think it's something that Mass Edinburgh or Councillor Gonglo going to try to pretend when it comes to Prince Johnson. I think he has made some numerous statement against Prince Johnson when it comes to his involvement into the war in Liberia. And that's a major issue, that when Prince Johnson now a credible guy that anybody can even say they want to even do a political marriage with. And when it comes to the issue of some of the major incidents that happen in the country, if I hear people that Prince Johnson's now, to speak against the thing or they want to trash or bash the CDC government or the WIA administration for some of these things, Prince Johnson and other were the one that gave us what we have today. Most especially the day that in the Senate, the lawmaker, even when the incident that he talked about Gifty Lava and other people when the auditor were murdered, they were in the Senate as it to be corrected. I cannot recall whenever they invited the police or the justice minister to give them some clarification on the death of the people. If what happened to the case today, that case is a cold case up to now. We have not come to a closure. Has he ever come out of Senate? Some time ago he was the steering committee on the armed service committee before the American ambassador at that time have to come in to make some statement before the Senate could take on that committee. But he's a member of the committee. He was the chairman of that committee. Has he ever called any meeting to they invite no key stakeholder that responsible for security Liberia to give a clarification on the death of the people? And and that's the problem I have with it. They want to politicize the auditor death. And it hurt the family. Those are loved ones. They should hold people accountable for this death that occurred and to make it on a politics. Prince Johnson at that time he was in good relations with President Weah. Not only ever criticize or to go after President Weah for this death that occurred. But now he tried to get on the other side and then he want to make it that okay, this didn't really happen. But what did he do first when the incident occurred? Look on let's take a look at the former chief justice out daughter incident where it first broke up. See how the whole country got involved, even our lawmaker. Somebody didn't even have their facts correct to investigate the case here in the summer, Mossad and also the police IG. Just based on years on the summer they spread. To get some clarification. So these are the things. So Prince Johnson for me, Prince Johnson is he fought a rhetoric and we're going to see more of it this coming year, during the election. We have a few more months to December. Probably tomorrow he may switch gear. You go to the ruling party or you go to the opposition party. Who knows? He will switch gear again. That's the Prince Johnson that we have.
That's the Prince Johnson we have. Lofa Julia, are we going to see more of Prince Johnson to be more or less the attack door now for Unity Party, for Ambassador Joseph Boycott? Who's running the risk here with Prince Johnson?
Well, I think it's more on the part of the Unity Party, but again, understanding where the Unity Party found herself today, I can understand or see why they would want to do such a thing. It's like a person who was drowning. After 12 consecutive years of leadership, the Unity Party have nothing to really show for it. So maybe getting the endorsement of Senator Prince Johnson, they feel like okay, that is an opportunity. Maybe that's a life-saving movement. But like Dr. Toto just referenced, you cannot trust such an individual. His inconsistency. This individual is inconsistently inconsistent. So if that doesn't teach you anything, again, that speaks to the decision-making aspects of things. And that is what I spoke of earlier when I said we advocate for good governance in Liberia. When these things are being done, it is upon us to highlight them for the public to see and realize that a lot of these individuals are not in it for the better good of Liberia. They are all about themselves. Okay. For Prince Johnson to endorse the candidacy of Joseph Boycott today, all right, and the Unity Party folks are celebrating, okay, that tells me that, okay, this is something that is happening in this institution that no one has control over. And the simple reason that comes with that is after 12 years of governance, if an institution such as the Unity Party can cry of being broke, then I'm concerned. So all of the leading attributes, everything that comes with it is simply because they want the opportunity again, all right, to serve in that capacity where I believe that they can, enrich themselves at the expense of the suffering masses when they were given the opportunity yesteryears and they abused the opportunity that was given to them. It was a privilege to do something. Senator Prince Johnson should not be trusted. He cannot be trusted. And well, at any point in time, never be trusted. You asked about Councilor Terwan Gongo. Look, I can put my neck on the line, something I should not do because I love my kids. I want to stay here. But I can tell you that if Councilor Terwan was asked to merge with Prince Johnson, he will acknowledge the fact that, look, Prince Johnson is, I mean, he's a citizen of the state. All right, he's a citizen of the country. Constitutionally, he can associate or affiliate with any political party, but he is not going to celebrate the endorsement like the Unity Party folks are doing, because Councilor Terwan Gongoli understands the magnitude of issue that needs to be dealt with, and he understands what justice means for Liberian, and he stands for justice for Liberian. So whether or not Senator Prince Johnson decide to endorse his candidacy, it will be just a matter of his constitutional right to associate with any political institution. But I doubt that Councilor Terwan Gongoli will celebrate that, because he understands what he's against.
So, go ahead.
Lofa is saying, I mean, it is.
Keto, look at your link. Look at your. You always like to be crisis management. Look in your. Send that link out. Look at your email. No, not Keto. Go look in your email.
Okay,
go
yeah.
I send it.
Like, yeah. For me, I think it's very shameful to see Unity Partisan celebrating the endorsement of Prince Johnson. To be frank, if you, like Lofa say, if we ready for integrity and principle, no matter, you just after the vote because you want to get a leadership, because you want to use somebody endorsement, and you know pretty well that this particular individual, it is a problem to the society, and you want to run and celebrate with it, that wouldn't because you care for the vote. It's something that Unity Partisan, that was supposed to come in the public to celebrate if I were there. We'll do it at the backstage. We'll do it at the backstage. We'll not make it public because we are celebrating. We will run it like we are one on marathon. And that's why they are doing.
Okay. Well, are they running a risk here? And then political risk? But one thing that I have come to realize from time to time, folks, the line is open. Liberian politicians.
And then also to just a short I have been in this I've been in the country. I have reached out, to talk to some people to hear their opinion. And to be frank, people not happy, people frustrated. But they will tell you, say, but the opposition.
What is the connotation of that but, if you hear it?
But because they always say but, the opposition is not working in a way for us to see the change that for us to come. They say the opposition fight among themselves all day. And people are following social media everywhere, every year. In Liberia, you see, the children follow social media a lot. And, they get all their information from the social media. They even listen to local news in this country here. And they see this thing happening. They will say the opposition. Like I was talking to one guy today. The guy said, you want to believe that a president, we are the one that planting all the confusion in the opposition.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't even make sense to me.
That's it. But the Unity Partisan, the Unity Party had this thing for 12 years. They have it for 12 years. And some of the problems I was saying today, they are the creator of it.
Thank you. And if I may just chime in, Dr. Toto, very
go ahead, Lofa.
Very often I hear people speak of opposition unity. And that's why when I speak up, people say, oh, you're an ANC partisan. You're an ANC partisan. I see no reason why people should beg for opposition unity at this point. Give the candidates the opportunity to sell to us their agenda. At the very genesis of this conversation, Mr. So, you said the political parties are not presenting their agendas. Their surrogates are not presenting their agenda. What they can do is not what is being sold to us. Instead, they are literally just getting themselves involved in this petty argument, back and forth, blah, 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 and we are not getting the nitty gritty. We want to know, what can you do if you're to replace George Weah? The issue of Liberia is not simply the removal of Liberia's solution. The solution to Liberia's problem, I should say, is not the removal of George Weah. You can replace George Weah with another individual. That is not going to solve Liberia problem. We need a recalibration of the system. And individuals who I'm counting on today, like Alexander Cummings, hopefully, Telwan Gongoli, and others are well capacitated to do that for us, not boycott.
But then there's a contradiction here. I will be coming to you. There's a contradiction because you have Cummings also brought in their own. You have people like Louis Brown, Daniel Chi.
Exactly.
People who yet to explain. So I find it very difficult with his language. You can't do the same thing over and over. And then we see coming to that. That is a failed system. So the strategy is not working. But hold your peace. I have on the line here from our own analyst, Walton Cato. He supports the candidacy of GOL, Dr. George. We are. Walton Cato, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay,
and
so
welcome.
Let's hear from you. Why you don't like to come on? As soon as start pounding on CDC, then you call for link. The link is already there. But let's.
That's true. That's true. I see my brother Lofa Julius and the doctor himself, Dr. Toto, making the point. But let's be honest here. The question about Prince Johnson and the Unity Party, I think is a big hypocrisy being played here. If you look at the Unity Party were instrumental. They play a major role in the sanction of Prince Johnson. And let's go back to Spoon Talk. There was a segment of Spoon Talk one time that this guy appeared on George Wisner. And he said they have this group within the Unity Party called the Renaissance. The Renaissance were the one who were advocating. They came to DC and they were able to get some lobbyists in DC, and they pushed this agenda of sanctioning Prince Johnson because he was paying to play. And then few months later, Prince Johnson was sanctioned. They came to claim glory for what they have done to Prince Johnson. Good day. This Wisner guy is no more with the Unity Party. He's an affiliate with the ANC. But it is all the architectural work of the Unity Party to get this man to, the status he is right now as far as sanction concerned. But Unity Party is celebrating this very man who they said he was paying to play, who they said he was manipulating, he was doing all sorts of things. They advocated for sanction against him. They got the sanction, but this man going back to them. I don't really blame Unity Party. I blame Prince Johnson, but I'm just looking at the hypocrisy. Why today? Because somebody is supporting us. We celebrate them. Remember when Prince Johnson supported Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Prince Johnson said the same thing. He said they call me a beautiful man, a fine man, a decent man. When he took his support and gave it to George Weah, he became a warlord. They must came to the Hague. They must do this to him. Now he going back to the Unity Party. They call him the fine man. So what kind of genuine political or democracy we want to run in our country under a Unity Party-led government? I think it will be all fake. It will be all deception. The criminality upon criminality will just continue to suffer in our society. And look what Julius said. The problem is not removing a precedent. It's revamping our system, changing, recalibrating, because the system is right. Look at the day. He even mentioned Tewa Gonglo, and that's why I frown on him a little bit. Tewa Gonglo and Alexander Kumi, can do the work. They have the capacity to do the work. No, Tewa cannot. Simple thing happened in Liberia just recently when the Chief Justice daughter got killed. Tewa did not do due diligence to the
I think Mr. Soul went off. So
Yeah, probably.
All right, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
for not protecting her, and other opposition people join. People in the opposition in the House of Senate start to question police, undermining the investigation, only to find out today. Nobody outside that entered the house to do what happened in the house, and nobody can speak about it. Even if someone cannot come back to the Liberian people and say, "Oh no, we made a mistake." He was there. Whether Kumi ever pay a visit, but it was a whole opposition rally against the government.
You cannot share for the police report. Now you come out here. You cannot say they won't go there.
Why will you say it? Won't come back.
The police report, the investigation report, won't come out yet.
No. I'm not saying in charge of the investigation. I'm saying from the get-go of that case, went in solidarity of that lady.
Right. Yeah, she was. Nobody believe her daughter was killed. People had to show solidarity to her.
Let's be honest, we can go in depth to discuss the critical aspect of it, but at this point in time, what we know, she is the victim at this time. So that empathy should, everyone being, it should come there. That does not negate the fact that we need to ask a question. And I was very critical on that because there was no breakage, there was nothing. I was concerned having pepper spray. She said in her own testimony, she has been the targeted person. If she was the targeted person, why would somebody who target you will see you and did not harm you and other people were harmed and they just walk free? There are a lot of information becoming, calling Helen Johnson Sally when the thing happened, calling Musa Dane and all of that, the Justice Minister. There are a lot of questions, but we got to hold peace and wait for the full conclusions. I don't know why this thing is so being delayed. We need to know that. But go ahead quickly here, and then let me just go back.
So it's not so much. I'm just. Are you listening to me?
Eh?
Send the link again. Come on.
Yeah.
So let me just
send it. Let me send it by again. Come on, so that way we can be fluctuating between the audio and the something. So I'm sending it back. We have a few minutes to go, but you.
Listen, so let me just speak to that. Why my brother is attempting to come on? Let me just address this. First and foremost, Tier 1's responsibility is not that of the government. Okay, you cannot tie the responsibility of the governing body on the neck of an individual. Tier 1 is a private citizen who is simply asking for the opportunity to serve in the capacity of the president that is refusing to do his job today. So if Tier 1 is in solidarity with a victim, you can't come out here and say Tier 1 should do certain things that is not within his purview. No, Tier 1 is simply being a human, first and foremost. And again, being the person he is, who as an advocate, as an attorney, a lawyer, first and foremost, you sympathize with the people, whether they may be in the wrong or that. Tier 1 was simply doing exactly what any human would do. And I bet you.
So check your email to Kato and come on quick. I'm
checking it now. I'm checking it right now.
I can bet you, Mr. So, I bet you were in sympathy with the family as well. If you were opportune to let your voice be heard, you probably would have been louder than Tier 1 was because you understood and you felt the pain of the family. So you can't come out here and blame this individual for sympathizing. Come on now. And this is not, you cannot even politicize it. Let the government do her job. What we should be doing here is asking the investigators to provide reports so then we can hold people accountable. Those who may have been the perpetrators, we can bring them to the law. Until then, nobody can be held accountable but the government and those involved in the act. The perpetrators, until they are known, we can't hold or ask anybody for justice in Liberia, but we have President George Weah and the governing body of the state.
Okay. While he will be coming on, folks, those of you who want to call, a few minutes will still have to be here. The number is there, 682-433-8802. It's also available via WhatsApp. Dr. George Toto, you are currently in Liberia. I'm not sure whether you had an opportunity to talk to your guy, you support, Councillor Gonglo. The process so far, there's some sort of nervousness we are hearing. In time to come, very shortly, Ambassador Joseph Newman Boyka will be making a major political decision. This is the problem with Liberian politicians. They are not noted of taking political risk. Nobody wants to take political risk. They always want things, say they want to walk a fine line, fine tune, and that's not how politicians should be. Politicians should be able to take some high core risk. That will cause them their political career. That's part of the game. Before you answer that, let's go to Minnesota and get this caller here, 763 Wharton. Good evening, welcome. From Minnesota, 7242. Good evening.
How you doing, Mr. So? It's Elvis calling from Minnesota.
Elvis, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. And hello to your panelists. I'm not sure what Mr. Julius, Lufa Julius' political leaning is. Can he tell us, or has he made that clear? Is he a Congo supporter?
At this point in time, I don't want to speak for him, but
Thank you.
Lofa, are you undecided or are you still watching the playbook?
Again, as I stated at the very genesis of the conversation, I apologize. You probably weren't here at the time, but I made it clear that my political lineage is to Liberia first and foremost. But I support the idea of a recalibration of the system. And in order to do that, we need new idea, brand new system put in place. So I will support the candidacy of either a Terwan Gongori or an Alexander Cummings going forward, or any new face that could help us recalibrate the system other than the current individuals that are in place. So as of yet, I'm yet to declare my political lines, but I support the recalibration of our system.
Okay, I just wanted to get that clear before I made my comments. Quickly,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to say in regards to the former vice president, presidential pick, or vice president, vice presidential pick. I mean, I think we're all waiting, you know, to see who he's going to pick. But just like I think it was Keta who was saying the same thing, I said it on another platform today. The hypocrisy from within the Unity Party is outstanding. And the same goes to Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson said that the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government was they were wicked people. They stole the Liberian people money. They were evil people. He can never, in good conscience, ever vote for them again. Yeah, he is, waxing poetic about Jose Juman Boyka. The hilarious thing that he said in that whole press conference was, it's a natural place for him to be because, Jackson Dole had a rooster as his party mascot. So since the Unity Party also has a rooster, it's the best place for the people of Nima to be because that the Grandpa Party, you know, reincarnated, which is so laughable. But I call Prince Johnson a political mercenary. This is a guy who will go to the highest bidder, and once you give him that money, your opponent becomes his target, and he will try to assassinate their characters. And we've seen this on both sides. He said that he would never work with Cummings because he disagreed with his quote unquote lifestyle. In that same press conference, he said that even if Boycott picks Cummings, he will work with Cummings. A man who said he stands on principle but will backtrack at every opportunity he gets. So Prince Johnson, for me, I won't say he's a non-factor, but again, even if the president loses Nimba County, it's not like he's going to lose all three or 400,000 votes that may come from there. No way. Even if he gets 40% of the vote, he can still make up the difference in other strongholds that he has in the southeast and other places. So this election is not only going to be based on Nimba, and I just want people to stop spreading that rhetoric that if he doesn't win Nimba, then he loses the presidency. It's a false narrative. Thank you for taking my call. I want to leave it there.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Wharton Ketat. Ketat, good evening. Welcome.
Thank you, brother. So, thank you again. Happy to see my brother Tutu, and like I said, Lofa Julius. I follow you a little bit. We far different path when it comes to politics, but he's still a brother. So like I was saying, brother. So, the deception is, and the caller made a very salient point. The deception in this party is so great. It's bad for our young democracy and our country that is striving for development into the force forward. And I see people still supporting it. After 12 years, you didn't do anything positive to change the status quo. 6 more years when I gave you that, it wouldn't even make a difference. And there were people that understand. And you had a man who supported the Unity Party under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, and he was hailed as a decent man when he gave his support to President Weah. They demonized him. They told him he was bad, he was criminal, he should face war crime. Today he's going back there, and the Unity Party people are celebrating. So it speaks volume to who those people are. Are they the same people that are going to rule us? Come back to power? No. and people don't understand this whole thing about Nima Kante and Lofa Kante. It's a done deal. These two countries are battleground zone right now. So Prince Johnson is not a strong man as people think he is in Nima Kante, and like Joseph Waka is not also a strong man as people think. He was when he was running for president in 2017. The dynamic has changed, and people eyes are open. So we will see now. Prince Johnson will come up with all these different assertions that people try to kill him. They want to do this to Nima County. They want to do this to Nibadians and all that. It's just a political red meat, but he's losing bigly in Nima County.
Losing bigly. Dr. Toto. I listen to him. He has been very calculated and very strategic. Prince Johnson, when it comes to his political games. He positioned himself. He was a major factor during the civil crisis, for which the Nimayans, the people of Nima County, still holding that. And that is something he strongly holds to his chest, his political trump card now. Do you think this going to backfire, or in fact, do we need to know the kind of conversations that was held? He said politics is all about interest, which of course is good. He did not find that accommodation based on what happened and what we know now unfolded within the CDC and left the coalition. He said politics is all about interest. Some people that were nominated, they were not discussed. So then, what do we need to know in terms of the conversation held with Ambassador to Boycott? If the Unity Party is to get a higher office of the land, do you think there was some sort of political commitment to him for which? Because obviously that's something he might want to do, or that's something that took place that we need to know.
Definitely. So, Alfonso, there was just an empty talk that will be Prince Johnson to sack up the Unity Party demand. I want to believe that Prince Johnson put his own interest on the table, and that's why Unity Party put their own interest on the floor to also to discuss. But when it comes to Prince Johnson inconsistency, and Prince Johnson, as Waiter was saying, and I agree with Waiter on the one about my agreement. Does that mean that you myself allow the same political ideology?
Oh Lord.
Prince Johnson is not relevant right now. Look, like I discussed according some time ago, if you look at the man Prince Johnson, if you can recall in the earliest age of the war, when Prince Johnson was so powerful, when you call with base, at certain time, Prince Johnson declined. He war missionary strategies or targeting we like Morovia, even when that so-called autopause war that was launched by Charles, Prince Johnson is irrelevant. It was not because Echo Boy, you have been killed by the terror forces. He left Liberia. They have taken on Nigeria. You are irrelevant. He didn't really possess a war missionary tactic that he had at that time. He declared. Then later on again, we have seen how he claimed politics in Nibakade. He said declared the last meeting or central election, Prince Johnson or the special election, Prince Johnson raised somebody here or the person lose. And then later on, he tried to somersault that because he wanted to satisfy the minor people. Whereas he campaigned against that very individual. But because it did not go his will, he somersaulted quick. So he has no strong relevant right now in the eyes of the body. Dima is a strong battleground. So if anybody think that because Prince Johnson gave them some kind of leverage, they're going to run with Dima will, I doubt it.
What would be the political downfall, Lofa? Let me just bring you in here. The time is slipping here. What would be the political downfall? For example, of course, Prince Johnson said he was literally going to retirement in politics, for which young Jeremiah Kong, who was very smart, articulate, I like his talking, what I would be perfected into action, that's another thing. But he seems he is running the wheel, turning the wheel of his party, even though Jeremiah Kong is the political leader, but the force behind it. What will happen within the rank and file of the Unity Party if Jeremiah Cone is a pick of Ambassador Joseph Newman Boyka? The Unity Party, there's a Ellen Johnson Sirleaf faction wing of the Unity Party. That deal is yet to be sealed on. If Jeremiah Cone is picked because of this political solidarity, alignment that is being formed, would there be a potential noise within the Unity Party?
Mr. So, let me start off by saying it's unfortunate that I have to agree with my brother, Mr. Ketter, here tonight. But
the Ketter winning you guys, so you gotta be very careful.
On the contrary, and to be honest here, I will give it to him because that is the honest to God truth. Because taking into consideration the position of the Unity Party, for Christ in heaven's sake, like I said previously, my position as an advocate for a better Liberia, it's unfortunate to see the inability of a potential precedent, in quotation, a potential precedent to literally jitter around when it comes to that. Honorable Boyka has shown to the public that he lacks the ability to make that decision. He is indecisive. Oh my goodness. You gave this individual the presidency? God, now let me answer the question directly and let me be honest with you. Prince Johnson factor, it was yesteryears when the Ellen and other people were in power. Today, with the opportunity provided to our people to listen to you and other podcasts, our people are enlightened. They are thinking outside the box. No one political party or individual, let's just say, or tribe owns any political ground. You have to fight. You have to win the votes. It was proven during the recent elections in Lofa County. You saw it for yourself. The people thought that Honorable Boyka lifting the hand of an individual would have given him the opportunity. He was whooped, literally whooped and disgraced. Okay, now if we were to go back, the same thing in Monserrate County, folks thought that George Weah lifting the hands of an individual would have given Monserrate to that person. What happened? Darius DeLon embarrassed, disgraced them. Gradually, the electors are opening their eyes. They are being enlightened to the reality on ground. So you cannot sit down. From what I see today, their expectation is they're playing by the book, an antique form of politicking, something that is no longer in existence. When they were reading the book that they used yesteryears, the likes of myself and other people were not in existence. We were not part of Liberia's politics. The fact that technology is gradually changing the way of things, I can tell you today, no one individual or political party should declare anywhere their safe haven, because the young people are gradually getting up. The young people are making sure that the voices are heard. So no one is safe anywhere right now. You have to work for what you want. Unfortunately, for Honorable Boyka and the Unity Party to celebrate the endorsement of Prince Johnson today tells you a lot more than you want to acknowledge. His ability or inability to make conscious decision. And we are about to put the nation in the hands of such an individual. Think about it, Mr. So. Are you ready to raise that?
Think about it. I faced Prince Johnson during the heat of the war. I was one of the very first when we were evacuated at LPMC warehouse. Believe me, the story is long. It's insignificant to this conversation. But you frown on Ambassador Boyka of making decisive or political decision. You literally now said Tiawan Gonglo and Benene Komis. But why you didn't tell us as well, there was a money that yet to be accounted for during what they call the so-called rallied retire suffering. Was that how many thousand? 70,000 K? Right?
Okay. And
yes.
fair.
Hold your peace.
Okay.
Our own Jennington Dolake of the LPR, our own Amont Joy from the far right of LPR here, we have to take a position that said the government is investigating. Okay, that's fine. But what happens to the internal investigation? Mr. Cummins, maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, just fire right at me. I have not heard any decisive internal investigation decision because this is something that happened within the system before this alleged criminality being committed and subsequently forwarded to the government to be, to look at it, which is okay. But we do not know the internal investigation within the parties. Will you then say, can he take decisive decision as well? Because if he can take a decision of something within his rank and file for us to know what their own investigation proved and the criminality being committed on the criminal side by national security investigator, we're still waiting. He has not done that. How do you reconcile that?
I would say to you, Mr. Soul, it will be immature on the part of the establishing entity, which is the I think there was an entity that actually organized that specific event. Now, whatever investigation is being conducted, once that investigation has been concluded, I don't think they should actually interfere with anything else until the governing body, the government, have concluded on her investigation.
So are you saying there should be no internal investigation? Is that what you're saying?
No. There should be one, but releasing such information to the public would not do justice to that of what is being conducted by the police or any investigating institution that is in the process. What if they were to come up and say, okay, this individual, based on our internal investigation, we have realized that this individual is considered the perpetrator, he is the thief or whatever. And then the police come up and say, after our investigation, we have concluded that that is not true.
So,
as a matter of fact, it was contrary to that. So I think it wouldn't be fair, Mr. Soul, that it wouldn't be fair that we allow the law to take its course. We should not blame this on the institution that actually was in the know-how of everything. Let us allow the police to do their job. It is often found and seen that we always want to interrupt the police and other institutions' responsibility. Let us not do that. Allow the police to get the job done, so that way we can be conclusively informed of what is happening. Let us not do that to the people.
Conclusively informed. We are trusting the police to do their job at this time here. I want to bring in Dr. Toto and Wilton Ketter. This sort of political correctness and fan-towing when it doesn't favor us is quite interesting in the politics of Liberia.
I don't think that is being politically correct. It is simply just being fair to the system.
So, supposedly, if the police come to this guy who they are accused, who has been extradited from Sierra Leone, if the police vindicate this guy here, will the ANC take that the decisions of the investigators to be the right investigative method being applied?
At that point, then I think it will be a wise decision for them to either counter. All right, based on our internal investigation, this is what was observed. This is what we came up with. How did you come up with it? And that can be actually taken to the court of law. Until then, I don't think they should interfere with the police investigation. Let them allow the law to take its course. And I think my brother Ketter here will agree with me. I don't think.
What is Ketter as a state witness here? And I'm going to help you. That I guarantee. Dr. Toto, let me come to you here. If this was something that happens within the Liberty, not Liberty Party, I don't know why I'm carrying Samson to party. Samson to he doesn't even know where he is anyway. If this happened in LPP, what do you think could be a tier one Gonglo decision? We want to see change happening. So we say we want to crack down on corruption, yet we are unable to make some unpopular decision. Politicians in Liberia, political guys they call political leaders, who just intelligently borrowed this tone from the 1955 elections, from the book of the Liberty Hijack. That's how they came about with this thing and reframe the political leader to want to try to gain against King and all of that. Do you think Is that a fine line ANC walking here? They don't want to hurt anybody in this high tension political conversation. Obviously, the guy who was leading the marathon, to Louis Brown, he was the head, and I'm not saying he is in charge here, but there is some link here. Is that what they are playing low?
Yeah, this is one of the weakness on the ANC. When it comes to that 70K incident that occurred some time ago, why it's true that the government carry on the investigation, I think we expect the ANC to do our own internal review and come out. I don't think any kind of report they put out is not going to hurt the investigation. Or to your ANC is an organization, it's an institution that can conduct our own audit and do some internal review about their system, about how the money were taken from point A to point B, how the money disappeared, and give the information out to the public, some kinds of information. They're not going to really jeopardize or interfere in the investigation. Or if the government at this age we in now, how long the investigation is going to take place. ANC will come out and say, look, this thing occurred SY month ago. Today, the government has not been able to come out to come on investigation, and it's hurting our integrity as a political institution or organization. Put the government out there, put the government to work, but they are being silent. They are not talking about it. Every time you hear the ANC partisan, we have our own brother Janitor on the CT. What Lufa is saying, it's the same message that Janitor has said over time.
Amos George here, Dr. Toto not talking
to us. The government.
From the far right here say in 2 weeks, if he did not hear from the ANC, he want to take a definitive position. But he now trusts the police to conduct the investigation.
So if the police is taking a long time to come on the investigation, to put that report out, then ANC come out to clear the air. They say, you know what? I don't think this is right for us as a political institution. The government taking so long to come out with that report, and we want to make it clear to the public. So that alone, you are clear your side up. So if the government takes so long, it's up to the government. You are making it clear, but we are not speaking about it.
Dr. Toto, let's be very careful.
Yeah, hold on 1 second, Lofa. Walton Carter.
I'm here.
The independent ANC, Tiawan Gonglo, is holding you as a state witness in this case here. Are you willing to testify in his behalf?
Oh yes. I like when my brother Lofa come out and made these beautiful, beautiful statement. But my only concern is it holistic? Is this a kind of a partial? Does it apply to everybody in our country or every political institution, including the government itself? And then I agree with my brother. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest here. When we start to jump to conclusion in these cases, I think we'll make the wrong decision. Because don't forget, our security apparatus or our investigating branch, they are not as sophisticated as we think they're supposed to be. So if we start putting out information, it intends to sway the investigation in our direction, and I think to be independent and get the facts out there is for us to give the police the chance to do the proper investigation and come out to a logical conclusion. Like you said, if the party now feel that, look, okay, I think the police investigation were a little bit shady here and there, and they have the facts, they can also counter what the police came up with. But at this point, I think it will be wise for us to let the police, and in every case, I think like, for instance, and I think Lofa will also join me when I criticize those opposition that ran to Gloria Sky House and were bashing the government because they felt the government in her words were trying to threaten her life, and they're responsible for the death of her daughter. I think it was so premature that political institution, opposition institution went down there and start giving solidarity to her, only to find out And down and around, like you said, we shouldn't go into it because it has not come out yet. But I can assure you, I've been close to a lot of different information. I can assure you that this investigation has nothing to do with external forces coming in. Everything was done right in the house with the occupants in the house. So, all these people that came out dancing here and there and pushing government under the bus because government responsible or government dropped the ball, it was all a host. So let's just give, like Lufa said, let's just give our police, the investigating arm, the chance to do their work. It will tire, but it will come to pass. And we live in this world. We see investigation take years. Sometimes they put that file way behind. Somebody will go and dust that file off and start to track back. And they will find something that the police miss. And they will unearth the truth. So let's just be patient. And I agree with him.
You agree with him. On the flip side, Lofat, do you agree with Keter too? Keter is now saying with the key issue of Musu Scott, I don't know, we must be patient. The opposition jumped the guns. There were a lot of conspiracy. What his name, Vadia, came up with crazy conversation, crazy talk on a sister network. He was never asked some tough questions. There was no pushback. Here we are today. We don't know where we are. We don't know where it stands. More questions even needs to be asked. Do you agree with him as well?
Mr. So let me start off with Mr. Verdier's claim. All right. And I think for a legal mind, I don't know why that decision was made. And so, again, I have done due diligence. I sat back. I question myself. I continue to wonder why. What does he know that we don't know? And in these desperate times, when we are holding our government accountable to act accordingly, to come out and make such a vague statement, and it is not substantiated, I'm concerned. I don't think it is fair. Not only is it not fair to the public, but those whom you have entrusted with the responsibility to govern the state. Look, Mr. So, as much as we want to sit here and play party trick, as I will term it, when you hire a person, you don't put them in the position to fail. We have hired a group of people to do a piece of job. We should empower them. We should put them in the position to be successful, unless their inability, their incompetence to be successful. Jerome Verdier pronouncement, I disagree with it. And I want to say to you, I hope that he will provide a lot more information to substantiate his claim. Until then, I have a whole lot of problem with it, but I want the government to still do her job. Let her go ahead and investigate. Let her bring the perpetrator to justice. That's what I stand for. I stand for justice and accountability. And until we can experience justice in Liberia, I would not remain silent. I will remain consistent in my fight. And that's part of the reason why I don't support the idea of a unity party or government again, because we still have victims from yesteryears. The case of Harris Green is not yet resolved. We still have people who have not been provided justice. And that's part of the reason why I say I stand for justice and accountability in Liberia. And for that reason, I would not support such an idea. And if one is to make such a decision, make such an announcement, I think they should provide some claim or some evidence so they did the fight.
Okay, world time is eating away here, but folks, the number being that Prince, maybe we're gonna go 15 more minutes or so, 20 here to go. The ambassador will be making the pick. We don't know where Benedict Alexander Cummings stands politically at this time. He made a pronouncement during their last fundraiser in California. And these are things people who also hold people accountable to. He said, whatever quarter, I don't know which of the quarter, the media, our own liberal. And this is why these people, when they are sitting down, you got to push them so that we hold them of their word. But that is not happening. So let's go to Oklahoma here and see what we're going to be getting time. 405 number, Oklahoma City. Good evening.
Hey, Mr. So, good afternoon. This is Abraham calling from Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. I will be going through that. Keep the phone line open. Anytime when I job there, I call you. Okay, let's hear from you. What's your side this evening?
Yeah, Mr. So, thank you for the show. Thanks the panelists, Mr. Toto, Lofa Julius, and then my own brother from from the same political institutions. Let me first of all start with the Prince Johnson issues.
Which institution are you from?
The CDC. I'm from the government coalitions. I can't hide it, Mr. So.
Oh, no,
I told you the last time when I appeared on the show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I told you.
So repetitive, that guy. Okay.
No, Mr. So, I love your show. So the last time when I appeared, I told you this for the CDC part, that's it, But for the Prince Johnson issue, Mr. So, it will move Liberia forward. We have to be honest to ourselves. If I say Mr. So have done this thing bad and I criticize Mr. So, I will not do it. What do I mean by that? If the Unity Party have criticized the CDC, the Unity Party and the ANC have criticized the CDC of lining with Prince Johnson that have been sanctioned by the US government, then today, if same Prince Johnson have endorsed the candidate, then are we really serious to move that country forward? Okay, you criticize president, we are saying, my man, go. You can go anywhere you want to go, you can go there. I don't want to work with you. The same people criticize President Weah from Magay, Serena C4, Bill 12. Today, they are in bed with Prince Johnson that was sanctioned by the same government. And the same people in bed with Stephen Waterspoon that have been indicted by the same government. Are we really want to move that country forward? If you say the other group of people have done bad, and the person say, okay, we don't want to work with the president, but then you take that same people. They say, oh yeah, the man gets sent. Could that go nowhere? But again, that politics. So it's like Nima County, like all the panelists have said, Nima County themselves still said, Nima County is a battleground county. Like we say a battleground state. Nima County, the verbal are teaching Nima County, the verbal are teaching in Lofa County. Seriously. So everybody will get a side. Taiwan government will get his side there. From the minor belt, President Weah will get some. The Prince Johnson fighting for his own battle. It's not just fighting because you don't want for anybody to, the reason why Prince Johnson went to Unity Party because one Unity Party guy they call Nyantua, I think Nyantua, if I'm not making it, not pronouncing it correct. He'll be contesting in Nima County on which one of the party ticket. Unity Party ticket. So Prince Johnson does not want that thing to happen. That's the reason why he ran to Unity Party. You see it? So the battle when it comes to the Nima County power will fight the other county. But when it comes to global Muzuska issues, I think the political party, Tewon Gonklo, Nyopi Kaka Lauren, all the political party, Alexander Kumi, they have statement. Today, they are not talking, Mr. So. They are not talking because they know exactly what happened. That's the reason why they are gone silent. They are not talking. But when that report come up, they will be shocked. All the people that are causing the noise, Jefferson County 10, Valley 10, okay, the president, that day, all kind of thing, they will keep the mouth shut and they shut right now.
You're sounding like someone who already got a hand of the report.
No, it's that like the signal that you have getting. Everybody, because there was no intruder. The police said it from the onset. Nobody enter. Nobody came from anywhere to enter that house. For the fact, so what happened in the house? The people that were in the house didn't want to know what happened in the house. So, Mr. So, thank you for the show. I always follow your show. Thank you. Lofa Judah, my brother, you're all in the race.
He got disconnected. I'm not sure what happened. Okay, thank you so much. All right.
Yeah, but Mr. First, I was trying to take my leave.
Yeah, Dr. Toto,
like
thank you.
A little bit lady at that.
Yeah, thank you. I know you're getting so late. I will coordinate with you. Inbox me your Liberia number.
I say you see my number. Yeah. I don't have Liberia number. I say you see my regular number.
Oh, okay. Then that's good. We'll still coordinate. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Lofa is back. We gotta be wrapping all here now. So, who wants to make a good guess? Who is a good person guesting here? I put a link out here, but we gotta go here now. So all eyes on Ambassador Dubaika. Is there a wait and see attitude on the part of ANC, Unity Party? Who goes first? Who going to make a pick? And based on that, I can make a strong political calculation to also decide. I'm wondering what happens if Jeremiah Cohn becomes the pick for Ambassador Jose Romant Boyka. Where is Ellis coming? Which directions, which demographic is he leaning towards? Any idea, Lofa?
Quite honestly, I will tell you this. Just based on the fact that Ambassador Boycott have been so indecisive, I don't think his pick at this point really influenced any decision. To be honest with you, let's look at the people whom he had mentioned. Youngly Conga Lawrence. Youngly been in the Senate for how long? What is her impact?
Just gone back for her 9 years.
Okay, thank you. So, can you name one specific impact? What has she done to impact the lives of the people she represents? You can't name one. Then, unfortunately, for the honorable man, Honorable Boyka, he listed Henry Costa. Unfortunately, for this, that in itself just derailed everything about this old man. It's unfortunate.
Why are you deploy the word unfortunate, Lofa?
It's unfortunate on the part of Honorable Boyka. After 12 consecutive years of serving in government, after 40-some more years of being in politics, you don't make such a decision. You think critically and analyze before you. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. Guess what is going to happen now? Why it is true that in the public, they may want to portray this level of unity. The folks from the Unity Party end are fighting vigorously against Henry Costa. All right? They are fighting, and they will put any and everything on the line to make sure that Henry Costa is not selected. When that happens, guess what happens? It divides the Unity Party further. Because remember, Henry Costa have been out there loudly and vigorously insulting the former standard bearer of the Unity Party, Madam Ellen Shirley Johnson, the former president of the Republic of Liberia. This is a woman who said, I don't easily forgive. This man insulted this woman openly and prayed for her death. Now, you know how she played. She is the political Ronaldinho of Liberian politics. When she say, I must get you back, she will get you back. So the decision to have even considered Henry Costa as one of those in the list was an insult to Madame Shirley. So she takes that seriously. Put that aside. Let's consider Jeremiah Cohn's position. Jeremiah Cohn comes because of the financial support and the claim that he brings the number for Nima County. We spoke of that earlier. No. Now Nima County is a no-go zone for everybody. Everyone is speaking out of Nima County. The young people are coming. They're coming up. The first-time voters are coming up. They are understanding the politics, the dynamics of Liberia politics. So he cannot instantaneously deliver Nima County to no political institution. Honorable Boyka again have shown to the people that he cannot make rational decision like a leader. It hurt me.
Let me hold you there.
I'm sorry to say, but
we're giving the CDC and Wotton Keto more tools to fight. Wotton Keto, are we coming before we go here this evening?
Mr. So, I'm not giving him any tool to fight. I'm just saying the truth, and that is the truth. Mr. Keto may agree with me, but the truth remains the truth. And by the way, I got tests while I was on people saying that I am part of the CDC, right? I see, I fit everywhere.
I don't know why you want to be like the laborer to be distracted. So, Keto, are we coming to the scenario? I'm wondering whether Helen Johnson Sirleaf going to be the factor, because I yet to distinguish the Helen Johnson Sirleaf Unity Party wing and that of Ambassador Boyka Unity Party wing. The last time around, there was a conversation, internal conversation was held. Well, Ambassador, because the madam, you can't ignore her when it comes to Unity Party, except those who don't know the inside work of the Unity Party. Forget it. Helen Johnson Sirleaf cannot be ignored. And most of the folks who in the Unity Party that get the money, the Amara Connors and all of those people, those are Helen Johnson Sirleaf trained boys who will always be there. The youth, the lane, what he said, the maritime commissioner, those are Helen Johnson people guys. Now, interestingly, Nokwe, who was the pick of Boyka, is not giving us support. Well, Unity Party saying Helen Johnson Sirleaf the last time around, all eyes were looking to have Bezonga. There was a somersault. Boyka went in the direction of Nokwe. Are we coming back to that point again, or are they having this sort of conversation that they are trying to put everything in order? Would there be another surprise here, you think?
Well, there will be greater surprise, greater surprise, and Lufa hit the nail on the head. But I even want to modify or quantify what Lufa said. Right? Look, let's forget about Ellen Johnson Sirleaf pop a portion of the Unity Party. Let's look at even the Bwaka portion of the Unity Party. Do you think the Bwaka portion of the Unity Party will endorse a Henry Costa vice tenor bearership or running mate with Joseph Bwaka?
Not to interrupt. Why did I'm wondering here? Why did the ambassador even went into that conversation to meet with the folks of Henry Costa? Mr. Costa said there were people who initiated that. I can go to negotiation without me knowing the in-depth of the conversation first and foremost. I can know and go there and decide to refuse. We do not know the details here. Why you think he went there?
This just show you how inept, how this man is very indecisive. He has no leadership ability. You understand me? This man has no fresh ideas. Like his man he running after to be his vice president said. He has no fresh ideas. He is limited when it comes to leadership. This man sat in the position of the chairman of CPP when it was destroyed by the very man asking or trying to make his vice tenor bearer. When Henry Costa was insulting and denigrating the leader of ANC, not considering that ANC was a part of this coalition that could be so significant in causing a serious problem to the ruling establishment. He sat there, not even to talk to Henry Costa, said, no, you can't do this. We will need each other. We cannot continue to destroy each other. He sat and relaxed. As a matter of fact, he came to America and made Henry Costa his chief organizer for all his activity here, meaning he endorsed what Henry Costa was doing. Today, you think even the folks that on the Joseph Bwaka side from the Unity Party, they are also divided in the fact that Joseph Bwaka is considering a Henry Costa pick. But that's the bigger picture people are not looking at, right? So Unity Party is drowning, not only politically, financially, they're drowning. And like Lufa said, if you pick Costa, what can Costa bring to the table? Costa has no following in Monrovia anymore because that's where his following stopped. It's done. So he can't bring numbers to the table to help Joseph Bwaka. He does not have money. So his loud microphone here has no effect anymore. Jeremiah Kuhn will probably gain some money. Jeremiah Kuhn pulled the number for Nima County for the former vice president. No. Nima County is a complete battleground. People will take big chunks off. The ruling establishment will take significant amount of unit or ANC will take some amount from there. You talk about Tehran, they will take, and that will be the scenario that will play on. So when you go to even Lofa County, the place that people supposedly saying now, oh, that's Joseph Bwaka stronghold. Please, man.
Okay.
2 weeks.
All right.
So they're playing the TikTok, and one of the things that happened here, I think you asked the question earlier to Lofa or to one of them. The things that are playing here, right? People are speculating who to pick before the other person say, okay, I announced my running mate. It is because of being very much inconsistent. They have no fresh ideas, and they are not decisive in making decisions. So why would I want to wait for Mr. Kumi to pick his running mate before I pick mine? It means that I'm vulnerable. I'm vulnerable, and I have no fresh ideas. I can put anybody in front that would say, okay, this man can help me run the ticket. So it's a win-win for the for the ruling establishment.
It's a win-win. What a convoluted one here. Alofa, before we go, I've said this before, the failure on the part of the opposition to take a decisive decision in terms of picking. We have recently, this just in a week, the vice president was in the southeastern side. That is a strategic campaign molded. What we might say, okay, and I listen to some of the surrogate, a campaign now open. What are you talking about? The presence of the vice president is simply there is to remind voters that the president is recontesting and I'm on the ticket, keep us ahead. The failure on the part of the opposition at this time, with 170 days to go without a running mate. A running mate could be a consequential person into this process that you can dispatch other places where you as a standard bearer can go. Go to Lofa, go to Nima, go to Grand Bassel, go to those vote-rich counties. I don't know how many of the opposition folks that are contesting major seats within the senatorial. You have 73 seats at stake. Now, what will it profit you, even though Liberian, the first branch of government, which could be a really tough one to checkmate the executive, it's a kind of learned dog type too, but what will it do if you win the presidency and you do not get control of the both houses? The possibility of making your agenda to die premature there, it could be there. I don't see them putting real strong candidate against people like what his name said, Moses Akaras Gray. I don't know who to get in Moserado. Tomafala, I know that he's leading to Foya or whatever, Lofa and all of this stuff. What is the opposition thinking about? Ambassador Boyka should have a running mate by the time. Kome, and those people could be dispatched and they could sell their candidate. I am on the ticket of Boyka. I am on the ticket of Kome going to Lofa, going to Bound County, those battleground states will serve as a reminder that has not happened. And folks are still arguing, we still get enough time. America, 2 months at a time, they can elect, they can choose their running mate. Is that a winning strategy?
Mr. So, I'm assuming the question was posed to me. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I want to say to you in answering that question, and that's part of the reason why I told you initially, in my position as an advocate and as a fighter for transformation in Liberia, I remain steady and focused on assessing all of these things that you have just literally highlighted: the decision making, the candidates that are in the race, the possibility of providing what I fight for, justice and accountability for Liberians, and how is it possible through these candidates that are selected, because your president and your vice president will have to work together. To have to mention the fact that Honorable Boykai, after 12 years, and I'm highlighting this again because like you spoke of earlier, you said I often highlight Boykai and I'm very hard on him. That is because he's a veteran. You will think that this is supposed to be a walk in the park for this man. He's supposed to be able to just come up and decisively decide on issue that he already know. You worked, you been there, you done that, you understand the dynamics of Liberia politics. You worked to the second highest level. It took you 6 years to rest. Okay, after 12 years of working, at least the maximum should be 3 years for vacationing. Then after, you have already decided to lay out your cabinet, including who you would like to work along with you after observing what you went through, after calculating all of your experience with your previous boss. You should have done that. Unfortunately, to wait until a few months, he is yet to make that decision. That tells me Honorable Boyka is not ready. Put him in the back. Moving forward, Madam Ellen Sally Johnson, in her speech or statement prior to her giving out power, she said, it is time for generational change. Honorable Boyka does not fade, will not fade, and not in any way, shape, or form do I see him as a generational change. We must look forward to moving Liberia forward. And in order for us to do that, we must, again, recalibrate. We must bring in new faces. In a nation of over 5 million, for our population to continuously recircle politicians, it's embarrassing. And we should not do that. Move forward, bring in new brains, new ideas, and move Liberia forward. Honorable Boycott and his entourage have shown to us that they lack the ability to make decisions in the interest of the people. We put them aside. Honorable Combs in that light as well. I would say to him, he has shown to the people as though that he is a rookie. Okay? You would think that he should have been on all of these different mistakes. Use them to his advantage. Unfortunately, he and his crew have not done that either. They have given upper hand to the ruling establishment. And that is the reason why you will see Brother Ketter sit here very comfortably looking at me like, you know what? I agree with you. We are in a very comfortable situation. And if you're not very careful, we may have to run this country again for 6 more years. And you will sit behind your microphone consistently complaining about bad governance because those in opposition have not done due diligence, told the people they have not worked as they're supposed to work. So we remain committed to doing nothing until we get paid and then leave the state of the nation. That's all I gotta say, Mr. So.
Take it easy. Can't take my migraine away here because when politics is an endless one here. Guys, I want to thank you so much this evening here. Before we go, as usual, the politics in the country is every week there's some sort of drama. Who want to make a guess? What sort of things you think going to surface in this brand new week as of almost in the morning hour now in Liberia? Where you think you're going to be coming from again? Who's going to kick the can down?
So let me just put something out there to tease us because it's going to happen. So be watching for the investigative report on the Shala Musu death. It will shock a lot of us.
To what extent?
I mean, it will shock us. It will shock us to the extent that the opposition, if they're not careful, I mean, if they are remorseful, they will have to come out and say, "Look, we take back all the things we said." It will shock the Liberian people.
What do you know now? You want to share with us?
No, I'm not gonna jump the gun, Ma. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna jump the gun.
Well, the fact that you said that you know something. The fact that you said that you know something.
Lofa myself just spoke on the thing on the show. I concur with Lofa that let's get the police the chance. I'm just telling you, there will be something of a great surprise for our nation come this week. So that I'm gonna leave it as that.
This week
this week, go to this Sunday. So
is that why you're hearing from the inner cycle?
Oh my brother, you're not gonna eat your pepper in my mouth. I already finished saying it. I already finished saying it. I already finished saying I say you hear something. You eat your pepper in my mouth.
You know sorry. I admire Mr. Soul's poker face. He posed the question and he just sit there with the poker face. I'm not gonna laugh. Are you gonna ask him about?
No, we are obligated to. We can't keep the audience in the open air like that.
I agree. I agree with you.
Like, what his name? Wotan Keta. We are not going to take it on the face value. That would be the decision. But is there a decision coming out? Investigations result coming out this week? Is that what you're hearing from your inner from inside the bear wheel?
Definitely.
This week?
This week. Hopefully it will be on Mika, the Mika briefing. We'll hear something in that
briefing is usually on Thursday, and when that Thursday is put on that day, it simply suggests to me communicating in that faction means it's in the favor of the government. The government has been vindicated, correct?
Well, I think it's subjective. When you say it's in the government favor, remember now, Mika is the Liberian broadcasting system way of disseminating information. I don't think we should just
it could be
down to the government.
It could be a normal press conference by the police, but when it is put on that day, which is a Thursday, is the Mika briefing, then of course more or less something that favors the government.
So the police, every sector of this government come out to give information on that day, especially people who are concerned with different issues of the week. So they come out to give us information, and I don't think it just in favor of the government. I think it's in favor of Liberian people because this is something that people yearn for from time immemorial. They want to know what actually happened to Shala Musu in the wake of her death and all the whole nine. Yeah, but we're gonna hear something positive. Will come out on Thursday, hopefully. And I'm not gonna jump the gun. It's gonna be positive.
Positive.
My thing is, my own thing is, are we willing to accept the result? Because there are, you see, Lofa stressed some points here. Why are we giving police the
Why are
chance
you
to
forming
beat them?
coalition with Lofa this evening?
No, I like objective people. Let me be honest with you. You see, I follow Lofa on his show with Yasini and all these people. And I used to go on the show and I used to talk. Even my brother Emery, I used to tell them a lot of stuff. And Lofa was the only one. We never spoke, like pick up phone, talk to each other. But I guess probably Lofa understood the language I was speaking through other people saying the same thing. And he has transformed his way of communicating to the extent where whether he criticized the person I'm in favor of, I agree with him because it's so objective. You understand? It's to the issue, it's to the core issue of our development. It's a policy information he put out there. So when he speaks, it's not in my favor. I'm not telling you everything is roses in this government. So if he come and roast the government and say, yo, the government did XYZ, I'm a rational person to know that yes, okay, I think he's speaking the truth. But where he destroyed the truth and put his, and I will come back at him and he knows that.
Wharton Carter support the pro-GOL supported. Thank you so much from the Constitution States of Connecticut. Lofa Julius. And 32nd. For the most part here, I think there's a significant rapport now with you and Wharton Carter. I guess off the line there will be a phone call to share some political views. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen, but this solidarity seems to hold here this evening here. But I want to thank you so much for, getting out of your own comfort zone for us to have this conversation. And that's what we need to do. We need to hold people accountable. And I don't like for people to frown on my audience. They can call me sedition. They can call me opposition. I don't know what. I don't even want to be on a cover. I want to be on top because when you undone, you submerge. People don't know about you. So why would I want to be on I want to be on top. So tomorrow, when the Powerball comes, and if I'm not called, somebody say, wait a minute, but this guy, but when you're on a call, nobody knows you. Everything you're doing, you're acting like a Nicodemus. Not a guy to act like a Nicodemus. I want to be an on-top cover person. But unfortunately, that's not the situation. Some of us have to take some independent role. This is why most of the people don't like to come here. Not that we don't extend invitation to government officials, oppositions, no. But because they want us to draw out specific questions so that we can have a conversation, which doesn't make sense. It's not a Sherman Bryan, LTV, yes or no. It is fair to give you an outline when it is policy, when it is economic, when it is infrastructure, when it's education, health. It's good to give that outline. But we call them, we reach out to them, they say they can't come. But our wagon is not dependent on these people. With and without them, we will have the conversation proportionally and not to be judgmental in their actions. In a minute, let me get a closing word before we go, Lofa. Thank you so much. When I unmute your mic.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Let me start off by saying thank you to you and the network for the invitation. I've been here multiple times, and I feel like this is also home for me, and that's the reason why whenever I'm opportune to be here, I come out here. And to the issue of being objective, that's why I have been labeled a sedition. I have been labeled an ANC, and of course, the only political party that would not consider me a part of their institution is the Unity Party, because I have been very open and upfront to them that until they can understand what governance is, I don't think they fit within my circle And I fight for a better Liberia, not for chances, because we misconstrue the idea of change with chance. To move Liberia forward, I must say to you, President George Weah removal is not the solution to our problem. The solution to our problem is the recalibration of the system. We must approach this systematically, and that is the reason why the Constitution gives the power to the people. Go and vote, but vote consciously. Vote in the interest of he who present to you an agenda that is in the interest of you and your kids, one that provides opportunity for job creation, better health care, and other things that come with it. We have seen, we've heard propagandists who honestly told you that upon the ascendancy of George Weah to the presidency, they themselves would bring 5 soccer teams in Liberia. They would bring 10 different companies to Liberia. Unfortunately, until their termination, we are yet to hear of one. Until their termination, and then when they are terminated, guess what happened? They become advocates overnight. I have an example. Eugene Fangon, who he literally made the case for the government. Guess what happens today? He is now advocating against the government. This is an individual who sat there and lied profusely to the faces of Liberians. Today, he's advocating against the government. We cannot sit here and allow these kind of things to happen. And that is the reason why I get off my comfort couch, leave the time to sit and play with my kids and say, I will participate in these discussions. I will make myself available to these questions so that we all can think outside the box, engage other people so that we can scrutinize the process, and hopefully in the near future, we can move Liberia forward. I stay committed to the better future of Liberia, and I will fight for a better Liberia. Until we can see that day, I think it is upon all of us to continuously do what is right in the interest of Mama Liberia. Thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you, my brother Kether, for being a part of the conversation. And to all of your audience members, it was great being here today. I wish to be back in the not too distant future. Thank you.
Yeah, let me hear from you. 170 dates. I'll take you off your word. If you decide which way to go, that would be quite interesting as to how that decision is being arrived. If there was any maybe payback, so we'll talk about that, all of that. But I thank you so much for sharing your time. Walton Carter, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Well, folks, I am Afonso Z, and so the blue represents effective communications. And that's why you see the blue icon. What? That's how we're going to leave here this evening. By God's willing, same time, same network. We sincerely apologize. I've not been on for the last couple of days. Still sounding my voice here, but I determined not to allow this code to define me because we have a lot is ongoing. What we are about to go. If this is the first time on this network, we say you are wholeheartedly welcome. We say thank you so much. Whoever invited you, we say thank you. But we don't normally talk conversation. We don't normally discuss things that you intend or you want to hear that suit your political taste. Sometimes we go off, sometimes we derail because you need to be told what you need to know in these consequential times of our politics. Each and all of us, everyone, directly, indirectly, to protect their own political alligator. And sooner or later, they come to know, knowing what I know, then about taking these decisions. And so we are cautious to let you know to take this decision, to question even those that you support. 170 days to go. We're going to be making it consequential decisions. We're going to be empowering men and women. They're going to be our Antonin for the next 6 years, 9 years, 4 years, whatever time that is being allotted constitutionally. We must ask them all of the tough questions. What are you support CDC? What are you support Unity Party? I haven't seen anywhere. A leader must have a vision. A leader must be able to take a political risk. And this is what our politicians are not noted of doing. What is the vision that they have for the country? It's nothing. Who are those we are going to be electing in the first branch of government that should hold the executive? Or are we just focusing on the executive? What becomes the first branch of government? We are not having that conversation. They are not telling us anything. They are not telling us anything because we are being distracted by their political gaming so that we can ask that question. But we must be able to create this conversation. By this time, all of those that are contesting for the higher office of the land, we must be able to see their manifesto. We must be able to see people who are speaking for them. If you look at some of the networks, the analysts, the panelists, the contributors, they are not directly representing this political party. They are there as a sympathizer. And so for this reason, they are inequipped with the knowledge or with the informations of the political ideologies of the very institutions they profess to represent. So then who are they? Because we hear them saying, what I'm saying, not for Unity Party, or not for ANC, or not for CDC, even though I support, that's not what we see here. We should start having a glance of a skeleton team of some of these people, their presidential spokespersons, so that when they are elected, you will know who's going to be the Minister of Information, who's going to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We need to start having or knowing who will be speaking, who will be taking that diplomatic tone. You're not talking about that. You're waiting until when they are elected, and then you expect them to have a career diplomat as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who will be the doyen of the cabinet. You saw the presidential election here. From it, all indications, Jen Psaki was the voice of the Biden campaign. So the probability, it was most likely that she was going to be the Minister of Information, which they do not have here, is the press secretary, that she was going to be a press secretary to the president-elect Joe Biden. Who is the official person that we can speak or that will speak for this candidate? I do know they have folks to call policies advisor, but when they go on this network, they do not talk the policies issues of their candidate. Yet they say they are policy advisor to this candidate. So what policies do they have on their belt for which they are advising this candidate? What is the policy that they will be projecting about Liberia when their guy is elected as the president of the Republic of Liberia? You have less concern. What is their educational agenda? What is their infrastructural agenda? How much do they intend to invest into agriculture? You are not asking that question, but when rainy season comes, then you want to know why the role. No infrastructural conversation. Other than what? We have been heavily distracted by their purpose, on the purpose of their own creation, because they do not want us to have. Yet, they have their little chihuahua all over the places and promulgating and preaching their rare meat politics without no substance. Where can I find your vision? How much do you intend to invest into education, agriculture? Will you increase the size of the government? What is the plan you have for the young generation? We do not know where the rehabilitation process stop after Helen Johnson's leave. We do not know exactly how many people have been benefited from it, and by the statistical number, I mean to say. Or will we have senators, representatives, people in the diaspora, other places giving handout to senators, representatives with the sole purpose to rehabilitate the young generation, a society that has been devastated as a result of the Civil War? What becomes of the Catherine Mill Rehab Center, which is a government institution? No international organization is going to support any rehabilitation process that you think that would be spearheaded by any lawmaker. This is a conflict of interest. Yet our lawmakers are not creating the avenue and are empowering the very government to work to rehabilitate these institutions to rebuild the lives of the young people in Liberia. Yet they say they are there for them. And we cheer, we clap, we sing. People shifting to bare box mattresses and say they build institution for Fort Rehabilitation Center. What happens if you do not win your senatorial or representative seat? Can you uphold, support those institutions? You need to have a clinicians, a psychiatrist, counselors, and these people must be paid good salary in order to maintain and run those institutions. We need to have the international community to be involved. We are not having those conversations, and you expect to have an effective government. What is your understanding of good governance or good governance? Is it in one aspect you remove this and you can't resolve, and we do not know what you want to replace? We need all to be put on the table so we can put them under the radar and have an honest conversation and hold them accountable. On your watch as a president, what sort of justice minister are you going to have? What sort of police commissioner are you going to have? A police that will have a community relationship. That people will confide in the police to give police tip-off if there is a criminal or some sort of criminal being committed without then endangering the persons who report these instances or situation. Are we having those conversations? Absolutely not. When will we have them? Are these politicians making themselves available to media outlet, or are they being selective where they think they can channel their red meat politics than the politics of the country? We will never be deterred. We will continue to have these conversations. We valued your opinions, your views expressed, whether it's in favor or against, or it doesn't matter. You have the right to speak your mind. And this is what we want every Liberian to do, to discuss about the country. So personal feelings, personal aggrandizement, your own personal reward, that's not what we entertain here. We see the country as a country, a diverse background society, people with different political ideologies. So we aim to all making it more proportional to have these conversations in the open and safer context. That's why they have a roundtable conference. As long as you are not insulting here, you have the right to call me or describe who I am, what you think I am. That's your opinions. Opinions are not facts. But when we can have these civil conversations about our country, agree and disagree, and potentially find what is applicable for the good of our country, that's what makes us human beings. And that's what we are not animals. We can agree and disagree and find a common ground. That's my take this evening. I want to thank you so much for being here. You are the problems of Liberia, because when it favors you, you protect it, even though you know within yourself it doesn't favor the country. It is not right, and you go to bear with it. Yes, they did it the last time. Who didn't talk? Why I want to talk now? So it must be a visual cycle. They did it from Tutman time. We must do it from Turbo time. We must do it from Doe time. We'll bring it to Bamangbo, Ruth Perry, Charles Taylor. All of these 5, 10 council members. When will we have a country that will be stabilized? You support people. They don't tell you the visions, their visions for the country. How they intend to do it differently than what we have, or you just want to remove. So we shouldn't ask those questions. You've been supporting wrong ideas from day one. Mistake over and over and over. You're yet to learn. That's just been hypocrisy and being dishonest to your country. If you can't even look in the eyes of someone that you support, even though you support them, but they are making some wrong calculation, and you are unable to call them to their attention to say, hey, even though I support you, this decision is not good for the country. And you think Liberia should be the country you want it to be? Hell no, that's not going to happen. So each and everyone in his or her own mind is protecting their own alligator. And he who rides the back of the alligator eventually goes into the belly of the alligator. And then you come tomorrow, you want to come complain, knowing what I know. If I knew I'm not going to support her, I'm not going to support him. You knew it, but you did it on purpose. And because you thought something was in it for you, you went into bed, political bad deal. It backfired. It didn't work. And then you start crying wolf. Shame on you. We all are responsible of what is going on. We have people who are contesting for high-profile positions in government and will not conduct themselves as a mature politicians and not willing to discuss the issues of substance, and be very insultive. And we celebrate this. We are so much in ties with it. This is unbelievable. And you see these people as your political champions. And you expect to have a country with law and order? No, that's not going to work. It has to be perfected into our actions, into our doing. Politics is not for small boy, not for small child. If you are tapled, then hold fire with your mother's breast nipple, or just keep sucking the bottle. It's a high core game. Accept everything that comes your way. But the political tolerance that you're going to exhibit will determine some of the consequential decisions that you're going to be making if you are given the authority, the gavel, whether be it a president, whether be a senator, whether be it a representative. You'll be making those decisions, and your constituents, your people are going to count on you. How many of us are willing to take a political risk, even at the detriment of us not getting the political power? Zero. Everything is all about political correctness. And you want to blame the politicians. You support them. You are unable to make courageous decisions. You want to blame them of not making courageous decisions. You are also chief facilitator of their wrongdoing, and that's something we need to stop. Have a pleasant evening. I will see you in subsequent broadcasts. Bye-bye.
Long